You never forget the sound of the plane's wheels touching down on home soil. It's supposed to be a relief, a promise of safety, of familiarity. For me, it was the sound of a door slamming shut on the life I knew. The hum of the engine faded, and the silence that rushed in to take its place was deafening. It was the silence of a future without Marcus. My name is Alara, and I was returning home from my husband's funeral. A military funeral full of crisp salutes, folded flags, to grief so heavy I thought it would crush me right there in the front row. The only thing keeping me upright was the thought of my family. Of home. As the plane taxied to the gate, a fragile hope flickered inside me. Maybe their faces, their hugs, would be the anchor I so desperately needed. I fumbled with my phone, the screen blurry with tears I refused to let fall in public. I typed out a message to the family group chat, my fingers feeling thick and clumsy. Landed. At gate B12, so glad to be almost home. I waited. The little typing bubbles appeared. My heart leaped. It was my brother, Daniel. Then his message came through. Sorry, Alara. Mom's not feeling well, and I'm swamped at work. Can't get away. Just grab a taxi. We'll see you at the house later. The words didn't make sense at first. I read them again and again. Swamped at work. My husband was being buried with full military honors, and my brother was swamped at work. A second message popped up. This one from my mother, Helen. Daniel's right, sweetie. It's just a crazy day. We'll have a nice dinner when you get here. A crazy day. I sat there, strapped into my seat, as passengers around me scrambled to gather their belongings. Their chatter, their laughter, felt like it was coming from another planet. My own mother. My own brother. They had chosen convenience over compassion. The message was clear. Your grief is an inconvenience. Manage it on your own. The hope inside me didn't just flicker out. It shattered into a million icy pieces. I felt a coldness settle in my bones, a clarity that was sharper than any pain. I was truly alone, but I was a soldier's wife. I knew how to stand tall when everything inside me was falling apart. I wiped my eyes, took a deep breath, and walked off that plane with my head held high. I would get my own bag. I would find my own way. I marched through the terminal, a solitary figure in a black dress. Each step feeling like a mile. And then I saw them, a group of men and women, standing at rigid attention just past the security checkpoint. They were in civilian clothes, but their posture screamed military. I recognized them instantly. Marcus's squad, his brothers and sisters in arms, the ones who had served with him, laughed with him, and now mourned him with me. Their leader, a sergeant named Miller, stepped forward. His eyes were red-rimmed, but his voice was steady. "Ma'am," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "We couldn't let you come home alone." That's when I broke. Not in a messy, public way, but a single, silent tear traced a path down my cheek. They had driven hours. They had taken leave. They had chosen to be here for me when my own blood had not, unbeknownst to us. A local news crew was at the airport covering a different story. They saw the scene unfold: the lone widow, the soldiers standing in silent, powerful honor. A photographer captured the moment. Me, placing a trembling hand on Sergeant Miller's arm, a look of profound, heartbreaking gratitude on my face. The image went viral. It was titled "The True Meaning of Family." A news station reached out asking for an interview. At first, I said no. My grief was private. But then I thought about the other spouses, the other men and women returning home to empty cars and silent phones after burying their hero. I did the interview. I sat in a bright studio and, with a calm voice I didn't know I still possessed, I told the truth. I didn't vilify my family. I simply told the story. The long flight home, the text message, the cold refusal, and then the stunning, life-saving grace of Marcus's soldiers. Family isn't always about blood, I said, looking directly into the camera. It's about presence. It's about showing up, especially when it's hard, especially when it's inconvenient. The response was overwhelming. Letters and emails poured in from thousands of military spouses who had felt the same isolating loneliness. And that's when I knew what I had to do. Marcus's life was about service. My healing would be 2. I used the life insurance money to start the Welcome Project. We are a network of volunteers, mostly veterans and fellow military spouses who meet every single plane, train, or bus, carrying a spouse returning from a funeral. We don't ask. We just show up. We hold a sign. We give a hug. We drive them home. We make sure no one ever has to walk out of an airport alone again. My mother and brother, they called after the interview aired, full of excuses and wounded pride. I listened quietly, and then I said, "I'm sorry you're upset, but I'm busy building something important now. Something that would have made Marcus proud." I hang up the phone now, not with anger, but with purpose. The Welcome Project has chapters in 12 states. We've greeted over 1,000 spouses. The pain of that day at the airport didn't destroy me. It forged me. It taught me that the deepest wounds can become the strongest foundations. Marcus fought for his country. And now, in my own way, I'm fighting for the families they leave behind. And that finally feels like coming home. Feels like coming home.